Hey everybody, this is Sean from the Dukes of Dice, and it's March 27th, 2017, and welcome to the very first Dukes of Dice Daily. This is going to be what is, in theory, a Monday through Friday video vlog, where I'll be taking 5-10 minutes, pretty quick, to kind of talk about whatever is on my mind. So something board gaming related, obviously, something that's happening on Twitter, on BGG, over in our Board Game Geek Guild number 2008. Anything's fair game, and this will kind of develop over time. I'm expecting that we might have some consistent segments. So maybe every Tuesday and Thursday we might do Kickstarters. Mondays we'll be doing some guild contributions. Wednesdays are usually our Dukes of Dice game night, so I'm going to try and figure out how to do something live, not live, well, maybe live, I don't know, but something at Empire, the Empire Board Game Library here in Albuquerque. So yeah, I think there'll be some consistency, and I'm interested to see where this goes. So one of the things that we're going to be doing to kind of get things rolling is we're going to be doing our March Madness. Actually, it's Board Game March Madness with a little spillover into April Armageddon. So obviously I only think of things when, it's far too late. It's the end of March, March Madness, the whole NCAA basketball thing is getting ready to wrap up. But I said, hey, we'll take the next 2 weeks and we'll kind of do our own little board game March Madness. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But what I kind of wanted to talk today about for this inaugural Dukes of Dice Daily is the concept of house rules. Generally speaking, I'm not a fan of house rules. I think it's kind of weird to play a game a couple times and say, oh, you know what, this rule isn't quite right. I think that it should be this instead. And so I tend to avoid them. If people want to do that and they enjoy it that way, that's fine. My thing has always been, well, is that how the designer intended it to work? And the designer, the developers, the publisher have a ton of plays, hopefully. There's been blind play testing, all sorts of things. So it's always kind of weird to me to say, hey, let's, change this rule. And sometimes it might be small, where it doesn't really affect the mechanics. So for example, one house rule that I do use is in Carcassonne. I've talked about this before on the podcast. But that you draw your tile at the end of a turn. You're supposed to draw at the beginning. This lets you kind of plan things out while you're waiting for other players to take their turn. And that's an easy thing. But if you want to do something crazy and say, oh man, I know in this particular game it says you're supposed to have a hand size of 5. Well, I think it should be 6. Well, that's different. And that changes odds, that changes some probability. So that's kind of on the different end of the scale. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I recently got a chance to play the Dresden Files Cooperative card game. And I'm going to talk a lot more about this in episode 137 that's going to drop on Monday, next Monday. And so I don't want to go too much into that. I'll just say this: Dresden Files, fulfilled from Kickstarter. It's a cooperative tactical card game. You're trying to solve some cases and defeat some bad guys. Big fan of Dresden Files. I wasn't when the Kickstarter was happening. I hadn't read any of the books, although I'd seen the TV show. But I've since, I think I'm on book 8 or 9 right now. So I'm really, really into Dresden Files. Very excited for this game. And at the end of 3 scenarios, I got to play with my buddy Nick at his place, also a big Dresden Files fan. We felt like something was missing from the game. Basically, at the end of each scenario, you are trying to check by what margin you have solved more cases than you have left bad guys on the board. And so if you have 2 solved cases and 1 bad guy left on the board, it's a 1, you win. If it's 3-1, that's better. If it's 3-2, ultimately it was kind of unfulfilling. And there was this climax where you would roll dice, but it wasn't very it was anticlimactic, really, is what it was. And so we started thinking, well, how about we house rule it? What if we created some sort of end boss, the big bad of each of the scenarios? And that would be more narrative, that would be more fulfilling. And it's just kind of weird because, again, I've only played this 3 times, and it's not that we played it in a way that the designer wasn't intending, it just didn't quite fit for us. A lot of times, if a game doesn't quite feel right, I'm kind of done with it. But it's interesting here because of the IP, I'm willing to spend some time to tweaking this into something that works for me. So Nick and I are kind of working on some ideas on how to turn it into, instead of just beating the game by a certain margin, having that margin set you up in a way to take down that final boss. And I'm interested to see where that goes. So, yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about that. Now, let's talk about this March Madness thing, right? So, Board Game March Madness, what we're going to do is we're going to put together a top 16. Yeah, Sweet 16? Is that the term? I think so. Top 16 board games that you are excited that are supposed to come out in 2017. And so with some of the local buddies here in Albuquerque, we kind of put together a list of 25, 26. And I'll go ahead and put a link in the show notes so you can go to this Google forum and you're able to pick 6 of those and rank them. 1, most excited. 6, you're still excited, but not as much as number 1. And from that, we're going to have a top 16 and we're going to have a seeding. So, we'll figure out which game is the highest ranked, the top seed. And then this will end Tuesday night. So I'll put the link out there. You can do that. And then tomorrow for the Dukes of Dice Daily, I will go ahead and tell you what the results are. And then twice a day, we'll do, or not twice a day, but for each vlog, we'll do 2 matchups. So the number 16 and the number 1 seed will do their matchup and so on. And we'll do that. So what is that, like 8? No, I don't know. I don't know how to do the math on these brackets. But anyway, the top 16, we'll do two a day. And then we'll do top 8, top 4, etc. So looking forward to that. That should be pretty interesting. Lots of cool stuff come out in 2017. Kind of just a way to talk about some of the hype there. Also, it is Monday, so our Dukes of Dice podcast, episode 136, went live today. We had Aaron and Quentin from Boards Alive come and join us. Had a lot of fun. We reviewed A Feast for Odin. So definitely go check that out. That's available today. But yeah, I think that's going to go ahead and do it for our very first inaugural Dukes of Dice Daily. Thanks for checking us out, and I will see you on Tuesday. Take it easy, everyone.